Welcome to episode 44 in this chess puzzle adventure series starring Bobby Fischerman, Average Joe, and Peter Patzer. Previously, all three fishermen had been chasing the caterpillar, and as you remember, they were running and running and running for 3.5 miles, but somewhere along the way, Peter Patzer got lost. That's where we pick up our story today. So what actually happened was after about a mile, Peter Patzer ran out of steam. See, he wasn't in quite as good of shape as the other fishermen, and he couldn't keep up. And after a mile, he was done. He had to stop and take a break, and he lost them. And at that point, he didn't know which direction they went. He got turned around, he started wandering, and before he knew it, he was headed in a southward direction. And not long after, he arrived at a beach. And sitting on the beach was a pirate. The pirate said, "Hello there. Are you looking to search the sunken ship for the buried treasure?" Peter said, "Well, I didn't know that there was buried treasure, but yes, that sounds great. How do I do that?" The pirate said, "Well, I'll let you use my rowboat to go out to the sunken ship if you just give me some gold coins." Well, Peter didn't have any gold coins, and he said, I don't have anything. The pirate said, "Sorry." Peter said, "But wait a second. I do have a chess puzzle that I don't think you'll be able to solve." Now, the pirate, not wanting to turn down a challenge, said, "Very well, I'll attempt your puzzle, and if I can't solve it, I'll let you use my rowboat, but I'm that confident because I'm on Puzzle Island and I always can solve the puzzles." So with that, Peter Patzer presented the following position to the pirate. Now, before I tell you what the pirate thought when he looked at this, if you would like to pause, what do you think the winning move is for white? White's pawns are going forward. It's white to play and win. All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, let me tell you what the pirate said first, and you can tell me if you think he was right or if you think he was wrong. So the pirate said, "I believe the winning move is e7. And the idea is that I'm threatening now to get a queen both different ways. And that's going to be hard for black to stop unless he takes this with the king right away. But if they do that, the pirate's idea was rook to d8. And now black has a bit of a problem because if you take the rook, you allow white to get a queen like this. But if you don't take the rook, threatening to get the queen here, you can't really stop that. So the only other move that black could play would be to take the pawn, but then you lose the rook. And here the pirate said, and now this is a winning endgame because the rook's attacking the knight. These pawns are stuck. The king is eventually going to be able to take these, and ultimately white's going to win. So the question for you guys is, do you see any problem with that logic, or do you think e7 is the correct winning move? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, the pirate is wrong, and here is why. Because at the end of his line, e7, takes, rook to d8, takes, this is actually not a win for white. Now, yes, you have the rook against the knight, but you have these pawns to deal with, and as an example, king to d6, let's say you grab the pawn, black's going to go g3, force you to use the rook, right? Because your king is no longer able to catch it. So you have to move your rook over here to stop this guy at some point. So let's just say you do it now. And then black's simply going to come over here and go to b5. And guess what? They're going to take this, and this is actually going to be a draw with best play. We're not going to get into this whole endgame here, but the fact that black gets the king over, and look at your king totally misplaced. According to the table base, this is a draw. Okay, so that's why the pirate was incorrect. So going back to the original position, what's the winning move? Well, there's a couple things you could try. Number one might be bringing the rook here to pin the knight and kind of keep these pieces tied up. The problem is you have no way to create any threats here, and black can just simply do something like king f8, which just stops these pawns. Let's say you take that, then he's going to push this. And as an example, king here pushes this. You could run your king over here, maybe trying to come up and go for checkmate. The problem is black's going to stop you, and you really don't have any way to proceed. Yeah, you can come over here and take this, but then black's going to gobble up your pawns. And this is, if anything, black is the one who might have winning chances, although it's kind of tricky, but it's better for black, essentially, right? So that's why that doesn't work. Okay. So the only winning move, wait for it, is rook to d8. Mind-boggling rook sacrifice. And of course, you're threatening to get a queen now with f8 if black doesn't take you, right? They have to take you. Well, that's not true. We'll come back to why they don't have to take you in just a second. But if they take you, your idea is that now when you play e7, you're threatening to actually take here and get a queen. For example, if black just tries to take the pawn, we take here. And notice how this is a much better version than the other situation where we only had a rook against a knight. Now we have a queen. Obviously, that's going to be, winning for us now. So that's the idea. Now, black's not done yet, and they play the move rook to f8. Now, why did they go here? What do you think the idea is? If you had a chance to look at that, the first point is that if we take it, then they take us, and they've actually stopped us. So that's really bad. The other point is that if we go e8 and get the queen, they're not going to take here and let us get another queen. They're going to actually take on f7. And now they have the rook and the knight against the queen, plus some bonus pawns over here. So what do we do? White to play and win. If you had a chance to look at that, the move is queen to e5 check. It's actually a simple fork. And now that we're able to grab the knight, this is going to be good enough for white to win. It's going to be a little tricky because you have to hunt down the pawns, but it's really not that bad. You can use your queen. It's going to be too powerful. Black's not going to be able to hold on to everything. Okay, so that's going to be a win for white. So that's the idea with rook to d8 if black takes the rook. Now, black does have one other try here. Knight takes e6. And what this does is also controls the square where we would like to get the queen. So if we get the queen, they simply take us. And again, we have this knight with the pawns against the rook situation, which is not as good for us. But what we can do instead, grab the rook over here. And after this, it's white to play and win. What's the move? If you had a chance to look at that, the move is rook to c6. And notice how this is different. Even though it's only a rook against a knight, notice how, remember last time that the knight and the king were all kind of clumped up and black was doing very well? Now, there's no way for black to defend this pawn. And this is a really big deal, right? The knight would like to be able to go here or here to defend, but you can't do that. And so, you can move somewhere, but we're going to just take this. And now this guy's going to be a big problem, and this is why it's going to be a win for white. Okay, the king is too far. Knights are very bad at stopping flank pawns, especially when there's a rook involved. And so this would be a win. As an example, let's just say black tries to attack you. You can just come down here. You could try to bring the king over, but it's just not in time. And then I can't really do anything. The king can't really do anything. You're going to move the rook, and you're going to get a queen. Okay, so that's the solution. Really nice move there. Rook to d8. Not one of those moves that most people would normally consider. Well, since the pirate incorrectly solved it, he didn't see rook d8, thought the answer was e7, he agreed to let Peter Patzer use his rowboat to go out to the sunken ship and look for treasure. However, after Peter Patzer got into the boat and started rowing out, just when he got out far enough that he couldn't really see the beach, a group of pirates carrying their own boat came out of the woods, carried the boat up to the shore, got in, and started following Peter Patzer. And that's where we'll pick up our story next time. Thank you guys, and happy adventures on the chessboard.